Funding for When You See Something, Will You Say Something is provided by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security.
It's a typical day here at a CT Fast Track bus station. Commuters hurrying to get to work on time, students on their way to class, people doing errands, headed to appointments. So many people following a daily routine, their minds on their text messages, their ears filled with music. But wait, this bag has been here a while. Does it seem suspicious to anyone?
An unattended bag seems a little odd. Well, there are plenty of people around here. Somebody'll handle it.
Someone must have forgotten that bag. I'd wait to make sure, but heck, this is Connecticut. Nothing ever happens here.
Maybe I should report that bag that's been sitting here. Nah, then I'd have to stay here while they took my statement and everything. I can't miss this bus.
Should I call someone about that bag sitting there? No, I'll just look stupid when it turns out to be nothing.
I haven't read about any incidents lately. Odds are, it's nothing to worry about. Another day, another forgotten bag.
So on a typical day in a typical Connecticut transit station, a bunch of people saw something that didn't look right. But did they say something? And why didn't they? Why should they? And what would you do? Chances are that bag was left there by someone who was in a hurry or whose mind was elsewhere and they just forgot it. But what if there's a bomb in there, or hazardous material, or a loaded gun? Well, that's a chance you don't want to take, especially here in Connecticut with busy commuter systems that serve 84 million people a year. So many commuters choose to travel on trains and buses because they're flexible and convenient. You can make last-minute plans, grab a ticket, run across the platform, catch a train or bus easily, and have access to transportation both day and night.
The fact that you can just get on and off the train at every stop is one of the reasons we like to ride the trains.
You can walk in at the last minute, grab your ticket, and taking away that level of convenience from people by adding security measures there, I think would be a hard sell for the commuting public.
This is one of our mass transit venues. So my dog, G, short for Guthrie, is an explosive detection canine. We patrol our train stations like this one. We also patrol our ferry stations and our bus terminals. So we patrol randomly our different venues.
The bomb-sniffing dogs are just one aspect of the state's extensive security operations.
We work very closely with Metro North and MTA. We also have a partnership, a close working relationship with Connecticut State Police. There's a K-9 unit that supports mass transit here in Connecticut. We have an extensive network of security cameras, hard perimeters at key locations with fencing and on-site security.
Okay, he's kind of walking wounded. He's a little dazed, but we're going to...
We are having an emergency drill to really test emergency procedures for our Hartford line.
We've coordinated a mock train collision. If this were a terrorist type incident, I think we would respond in much the same way to deal with any victims and work in a coordinated fashion. Right now, we're evacuating the train.
I'm bleeding!
It gives my guys hands-on actual experience of working with the equipment, operating in the rail car, evacuating people using our Stokes basket. We were able to remove the emergency egress windows, how that operates. So it gives them some real life experience, hands-on, which is invaluable.
Who the X?
Safety is critical for us. The safety of our customers, the safety of the system is important. And so on an annual basis, we will be doing drills like this. We are learning a lot. Just observing communication in these events is the most critical thing.
Red, yellow, green, all been removed from the train. Secondary search is complete.
The right people are responding, sharing information, and really attending to this as quickly as possible.
So 18, 9, and 8.
And then getting everyone who has to be part of this, part of the team, and creating that teamwork.
The service operates on an Amtrak-owned rail line, so they're involved, all the local police departments, Hartford, as well as state police representatives from Connecticut DOT. It's a fair amount of agencies right there.
Who pulled the windows on the inside?
This is about emergency response. It's about the teamwork and the coordination to respond to that, no matter what it is.
We do these exercises because we share information, we learn.
This will be an opportunity to also share this experience in training exercises from now, frankly, for the next couple of years.
You had the classroom training. This is a chance to go out in the field.
The planning that took place in this made us all come together and work out some issues ahead of time. We've come a long way in the emergency services field of achieving that level of cooperation.
None of that really takes the place of vigilance. Vigilance is the most important aspect of security.
Most of us think we would report suspicious activity if we saw it. Would we?
If I saw someone put a bag down and walk away, I would definitely bring it to someone's attention.
There's no question in my mind I would, absolutely.
If I see something very suspicious, I'm not a paranoid person, but if I feel that there is something really suspicious, I would report it.
I think I would. If I felt threatened or unsafe, I think I would call.
I would call in if I saw something suspicious.
If I saw something very bad, I would call 911.
But most of us actually don't, for reasons we'll explore later. We're hardwired to avoid conflict and complexity. We assume others will take care of it, or we doubt our intuition, or we simply don't want to be bothered.
I don't think people look at a scenario where somebody walks away from a bag and automatically thinks, okay, this guy is a potential terrorist and I'm in the middle of a potential incident here. I think most people look at it and say, that idiot forgot his bag. It's sometimes difficult for people to recognize what they are seeing and thinking, okay, that's something I should be saying something about.
The brain doesn't like uncertainty. It doesn't like chaos. It tends to try to order things and create formulas and organizations and patterns because that's much more efficient. So we try to make things tidy, simple, explainable, when in fact a lot of things in this world are not very simple and they're complex and they're messy.
But it's important to be able to overcome the psychological reasons that prevent us from acting.
The public is our greatest eyes and ears that are out there, who can bring us something that looks abnormal or something that's out of the ordinary and help us to keep everyone safe.
Law enforcement calls it the force multiplier. The police can't be on every rail car, they can't be on every bus, but with the customers reporting something that's out of place, it can really help law enforcement get to these issues sooner.
If you are aware of what your surroundings are and something looks unusual, it's the best way we get instantaneous information.
So important. Yet why do people continue to ignore this potentially lethal threat?
I think a lot of people may think that they may be wasting their time or, it's not that important to them.
They're afraid that they're making a big deal out of nothing.
I think people are nervous about maybe looking scared or just feeling vulnerable.
You just don't want to be bothered. I think they're just too busy and might think it's somebody else's job.
I just think a lot of people just don't want to get involved.
I just feel like a lot of people are apathetic. They just want to just mind their own business, stay on their iPhones, and just really stay out of it.
Nowadays, I feel like people are not, they're afraid to talk with human beings.
I think it's because they don't want to create a problem that, it may not be warranted.
Profiling is one thing that people are scared about.
Maybe people don't pay attention to what's going on around them.
All of those reasons are true, and most of them fit neatly into what psychologists call heuristics, mental shortcuts we all use to solve problems and make judgments quickly and efficiently.
Heuristics are simple rules of thumb to solve problems. And they're automatic, and they're fast, and they're very efficient, and sometimes accurate, and sometimes very productive. Other times, not so much.
One common shortcut we use is something called bystander bias.
There are plenty of people around here. Somebody will handle it.
The more people that are around me when I witness something that might need a response, the less probability there is that I will act on it. If I'm alone and I see something happen, there's a higher probability that I will take action and do something. I rationalize by saying, oh, I don't have to do anything. John's going to do something. Or this guy's going to do something. Or the next driver behind me is going to do something. And I let myself off the hook.
This is what's behind the bystander effect, where if someone collapses onto the ground in a crowded area, that people will tend to just walk on by. Generally, when we're trying to decide what to do, we look to others around us to determine what is normative. What do other people do?
Then there's the narrative fallacy, which says basically we tell ourselves stories based on our past experiences, and we tend to believe those stories apply to what's happening now. So if nothing bad happened before when I saw an unattended bag, nothing will now.
Heck, this is Connecticut. Nothing ever happens here.
A commuter might simply say, I noticed something different, but you know, this is one train ride out of thousands that I'm going to take. It's going to be the same. Why is this going to be any different?
One of the phrases that's often used about humans is that we're cognitive misers. We want to conserve energy. You don't want to waste your brain's energy paying attention to things that aren't important to you.
The brain is basically a lazy organ, and it's very, very energy efficient. It will always choose the most efficient, easiest, least energy to solve a problem.
If you are a daily commuter and you're passing through the same station every day, and sometimes there are people busking there, sometimes there's trash that's being removed from the container, those are the types of things that your brain just doesn't pay attention to, right? Why waste the energy?
Then there's the availability theory, which says you'll make a judgment about something based on what's stored in your short-term memory.
I haven't read about any incidents lately. Odds are, it's nothing to worry about.
We can overestimate and underestimate the occurrence of something happening by virtue of the exposure that we have to it. If somebody hears a lot about break-ins in their particular neighborhood, their expectation of that happening to them goes up to the point where it's beyond reality or probability. So these heuristics can influence not only how we think, but how we feel and how we behave.
For instance, commuters would probably be more aware of security issues and their own reactions to them if they'd seen a program exploring those topics. Then there's something called risk aversion or loss aversion. That means we write off certain threats if we can envision a more certain outcome. Why take the risk of reporting something when our goal is just to get to our final destination?
I can't miss this bus. I'll just look stupid when it turns out to be nothing.
The fear of losing something is more powerful than the appeal of gaining something. If I call there, they're going to ask me for my name, they're going to ask me for what I saw, they're going to question me. The potential to lose some kind of shape of my life or some kind of control of my life is greater than what's the gain if I call this in. If the loss aversion bias kicks in, I will not act on it.
Finally, there's memory bias. What's been recently stored up here that I can rely on in making a quick judgment?
Another day, another forgotten bag.
Experiences in our lives register by highs and lows. Great things that happen, lousy things that happen, and rarely information about gradients in between.
This means that subtle clues are often overlooked. Unless we experience something in the moment and act, we will not process it correctly later.
If I see a bunch of things on the news, if I read a bunch of things about something particular, it becomes a construct. It becomes something that is easily accessed and that influences how I think.
And so much of our failure to act springs from a condition that plagues us often in our daily lives. We're simply not paying attention.
We all get comfortable in our daily routine, and we get comfortable and we sort of zone out.
When people are out commuting, their mindset is they're just trained on getting to work. They'll have their headphones on, listening to music, working on their computer or the laptop.
They're also thinking about what they're going to do when they get into their office and their report that's due and the phone calls they need to make and the emails they need to respond to, as well as what they left at home that's unfinished.
We've all had somebody bump into us because they've got their head buried in their phone and they've got headphones in. If your head is in your email and your mind is on your upcoming day, you may not ever see something. So you didn't know to say something.
Most of the time, those bags are misplaced because someone was in a hurry to get off the train, get to their appointment, had something else on their mind. There are times where something was discovered.
We apologize for the inconvenience.
So let's say we're able to overcome all these biases we just talked about and we're ready to take action. I've seen something and I'm ready to say something. What do I do?
You should not take it upon yourself to try to remedy that situation. If you saw a bag that was unattended and it looked like it was out of the ordinary, you should not try to go to that bag. You should call one of the law enforcement officers, or you should go to any of the ticket agents or any of the security here and report that. If an untrained civilian tried to remedy a situation, not only are they putting themselves at risk, but they're putting everyone else here in the station at risk. So the best thing to do is just to report that to the authorities here.
But what if no one's around?
Pick up your phone and call 911.
And if you don't want to pick up the phone, send a text message.
Cheshire Police Department, Officer Boyle. What's the location of emergency?
You're going to get a local police agency in the area where you are who is going to be able to take information from you.
Yes, I'd like to report this unattended backpack that's here at the station. I'm at the Connecticut Fast Track Station.
Do me a favor, don't go near the backpack. I'm going to dispatch a couple of units out there. We're going to see if it's just an oversight or if it's something we need to investigate further.
They transmit that information to the police officers who are going to be the ones who are going to respond and actually put their eyes on whatever it is that you've called about.
If you're in a bus or train station, you can talk to a ticket agent or a security officer. On a bus or train, you can alert the bus driver or flag a train crew member. Or you can use the CT Safe app from anywhere to report anything that looks suspicious.
Once you alert a train crew member, pick up a phone or send a text message, your reporting of that remains anonymous and your job is done. You can move on with your day.
Suspicious activities include several things that could just look or feel out of place. A car parked in an odd location, an open window that's usually closed, someone taking photographs of security features, asking a lot of questions about a building's security, or paying unusual attention to the building.
We look at things that are out of the ordinary. If someone should come in on a hot day and have too much clothes on, too bulky clothes on.
Anybody who's trying to take pictures of the outside of a building, or they appear to be really interested in an entranceway and any security procedures there.
Or they appear to be carrying a bag that's too big for them, or it's not something that they look like they're used to carrying.
People who seem to be just kind of hanging around a train station watching the patterns of people coming and going but never actually get on a train.
Someone who's coming in and not looking at the board. They're looking for where the police officers are, or they're looking to see where the cameras are.
If a daily commuter goes to the train station every morning at 6:45 to catch a 7 o'clock train, they get into a sense of the rhythm and patterns of the commute and of the train station where they are. They're the ones more likely to say, you know what, I never saw anybody come out of that door over there that says maintenance only. I've never seen anybody leave a backpack over there or sit and wait in that area of the train station.
Many of us may be afraid to act because we don't want to be accused of racial profiling or making assumptions based on something we just read. We're uncomfortable that we may have a personal bias that makes us react inappropriately because of the color of someone's skin or their religion.
I think maybe people don't report because they don't want to think that they're profiling someone or it's silly what they're thinking about, and they don't want to make a big deal out of it.
People don't want to be racist, and so you have this uncomfortable feeling of, okay, well, there's someone who seems a little bit suspicious to me. If I report them and I'm wrong.
Jumping to conclusions and heuristics are hand in hand because they're quick. They can be very helpful in terms of us making efficient decisions, but they may not be effective ones. It can work for us, but it can also work against us.
We define the world in terms of us and them, and that we favor members of our own group and demonize members of another group. Maybe a big benefit of the See Something, Say Something program is maybe other people are forced into thinking in this way, very self-critically. I see a black guy there who I might consider as loitering. Would I consider the same thing if it was a white guy? Let me sit here for a while and see if there are any white guys that are kind of adopting the same posture, that are standing in the same place for the same amount of time. Oh yeah, there are two right over there. That's the type of thing that could, interestingly facilitate some self-awareness that might make people a little bit less biased over time.
One of the ways that this may roll out and be helpful is to help some people who are prone to being more mindful develop that ability to notice, to be more aware, to be more vigilant, without becoming paranoid or suspicious.
Developing that self-awareness is the next logical step in See Something, Say Something. Taking the time to understand how the brain works, what our inner biases may be, and how to sidestep those shortcuts that don't always serve us well.
That bag is still there. Let me look for a ticket agent or security officer.
I feel a little stupid for making this call in. It's probably nothing, but there's this bag sitting at the CT Fast Track station.
Getting people to that point may not be easy, but recognizing how we react to the signals is a start.
I think the key is to create more awareness on people's parts so that they understand some of the more specific cues that are worth further investigation. So they make it easy for them to notice, judge, decide, and act.
The first step is always coming to an awareness that you have an unconscious force that's driving you. So become aware of these psychological forces that are driving us, and then try to actively unwind them.
We can't possibly train everybody to be expert in their intuition, to notice and see something and then say something, but we can help them get better at it. And the way you do that is by making it clear to them, here are the specific cues that you need to attend to, here's what it means, here's what you do.
We also have the ability to transcend some of these unconscious impulses, but it just has to be conscious effort. And sometimes all it takes is awareness of the process. So if you're aware of the bystander effect, maybe you'll be less likely to succumb to it when the moment comes.
Let's figure out cool ways to help people recognize cues, understand what they may mean, and make simple, easy, efficient responses that don't provoke their loss aversion, don't promote all of the other biases that would prevent them from acting.
The idea is once you become aware of a cognitive process, only then do you have the ability to consciously control it.
By engaging customers, we can absolutely multiply the effect of law enforcement and make sure that when concerns are identified, that they're addressed. It's a partnership. The key really is that if something doesn't seem right, call attention to it. Report it to a trained crew, report it to a bus driver. There's probably no one better positioned to do that than the customer, because the customer is on that bus every day. The customer is on the train every day.
In this day and age, there's so many things going on that the more people who have their eyes open and their ears are listening, we'll be in a lot safer position for our passengers.
There's lots of ways people can bring harm, but if we collectively are paying attention, I'd like to believe that we have a shot at preventing major incidents like that in the future.
These campaigns are very effective in that, to bring it back into the consciousness of the average commuter that, hey, it's a changed world. And these things are still important, and I have to do my part as a citizen in a functioning democracy to be attentive to my surroundings and to play my part in keeping society safe.
If you do see something and you have the opportunity to inform it to someone that can take care of the situation, you should do so. Bottom line.
I think it's extremely important.
As a citizen and a general decent human being, you want to say something to help someone out.
To just remind you, even if you're traveling every day, to pay attention.
I believe it is a civic responsibility.
It's a code of conduct.
We need to do the right thing.
Well, if we don't, who will? Pretty simple, isn't it?